howdy and welcome to another Grow Lapse video all about the basil. I'm Catherine, the Aerogarden Homesteader. Beginning with Aerogarden seed pods is a really easy way to go, but a few caveats. First, there are a lot of seeds in the pods to ensure something will germinate, so maybe be prepared to thin a few depending on what you are growing. Basil isn't too bad if there's more than one per pod, but you certainly don't want to have more than 3 or 4. Secondly, these particular pods have been sitting around for who knows how long, and germination rates may vary. Plus, I have also had these sitting around for even longer past the expiration date because I have so many of them. I can only deal with so many herbs at one time. Third, I do think Aerogarden wants you to fill the whole Aerogarden with these pods, and that just isn't that great, especially with things that grow at different rates. And using that as a nice segue, the basil was at a little bit of a disadvantage due to the parsley that was already in the Aerogarden and required the light to be at a higher level. So the seedlings started out a little stretched and slightly crowded. To compensate for that, I eventually pushed the parsley out of the way and lowered the light. The basil still had a rough start and did poorly for a while. I had stretching, yellowing of the leaves, and even a little leaf damage that looked like burning. I have found that herbs seem to enjoy lighter feeding, so I try to give half feeds. But in this case, the parsley might have actually been sucking out the food and depriving the basil a little, hence some of the yellowing. In the end, at about 9 weeks, it was finally time for the parsley to go, and I was able to give the basil all the space it required. And while they looked poorly at first, they certainly wasted no time in recovering and taking advantage of the extra space, the direct light, and all the food it could want. And boy, did they really push out the growth and bush out like crazy. Pruning really helped not only keep the basil in check, but to also help encourage the bushing out of new growth. I had beautiful full leaves and tons of growth. I used what I could fresh in salads, but it really got to a point where I just couldn't keep up. So I decided to remove the basil, but don't fret, nothing went to waste. I put the basil through the freeze dryer. While I don't recommend getting a freeze dryer just to do some herbs, if you have one, freeze-dried herbs are the best. I now have basil leaves and basil powder for any cooking I do, and the taste is so fresh and vibrant. I still have a ton of basil pods floating around, so I am sure I will be doing basil again. I do wonder if it might be worth starting a ton of basil to not only use up the pods, but to also have basil out in the garden this year. This would certainly be a great way to use them up and add some companions to my tomatoes. I think I just talked myself into doing that. I'll have to figure out the timings so I don't have any transplanting issues. I have linked the playlist both for the whole garden updates as well as all of these grow lapses. If you found this useful, give the video a like so other people can also find this video, and a subscribe so you know when the next video is uploaded. And I will see you next time on the Aerogarden Homestead.